Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Bacon. Welcome to the show, y'all. The system is a meat grinder for families and it chews them up, spits out the pieces, and don't care if they ever fit back together again. David and Mia were just two more pieces, separated by paperwork and protocol. Mia landed in a foster home with a kind older couple who had a quiet house that smelled like cinnamon. They gave her a warm bed, new clothes, and 3 meals a day. But they couldn't give her what she really wanted, her brother, her parents, her life back. She was a ghost in their home, a polite, quiet girl who never caused any trouble, but who would cry herself to sleep every night, clutching the one faded photograph she had of her family. She was safe, but she wasn't home. And the loneliness was a constant cold ache in her chest. David's world was the opposite. The group home wasn't a home, it was a holding pen. A concrete box filled with angry, broken boys, all of them fighting for a piece of respect in a world that had given them none. The first night, a kid tried to take his shoes. David fought back, a wild, desperate flurry of fists and feet. He lost the fight, but he earned a small, grudging measure of respect. He had shown he wasn't soft. And in that place, not being soft was the only rule that mattered. He learned to be hard. He built a wall around himself, brick by painful brick. He learned to speak the language of the yard, a language of threats and posturing, and a constant simmering violence. The quiet, watchful boy who loved his sister was buried under layers of scar tissue, both physical and emotional. He and Mia tried to stay connected. Once a week, they had a supervised phone call. The social worker would sit there, listening as they tried to bridge the growing chasm between their two worlds. Mia would talk about school, about her foster parents' dog. David would talk about the food, the weather, anything but the truth. How could he tell his little sister about the fight in the shower, about the boy who cried in the bunk above him every night? So he lied. "I'm good, Mia. It's okay here." And she would pretend to believe him. Their parents were ghosts. Their presence felt only in the shame and whispers. That followed the kids everywhere. The trial was a blur of legal jargon and lies. Their parents were sentenced to 20 years, their faces impassive as the gavel fell. David and Mia were now officially orphans of the war on drugs. 2 more pieces of collateral damage in a battle that had no winners. As David got older, the anger that had been simmering inside him began to boil over. He saw the system for what it was, a machine designed to break boys like him, to turn them into the monsters the world already believed them to be. He started running with the hardest crew in the group home, finding a sense of belonging in a shared rage. They were into petty crime at first, shoplifting, vandalism, a few small-time drug deals, but it escalated quickly. David had learned from his father's whispers, from the streets that had been his first teacher. He was a natural leader, and he was leading his new family down the same dark path his father had walked. By the time he aged out of the system at 18, he wasn't just a broken boy anymore. He was a hardened young man with a rap sheet and a reputation. The ghost of his father was no longer just a shadow. It was the man he saw in the mirror every morning, and he was ready to claim his inheritance. Out on his own, David didn't just survive on the streets, he thrived. The hardness he built in the group home was an asset. He wasn't scared, he was smart. He reconnected with some of his father's old contacts, men who saw the same fire in his eyes they'd seen in his dad's. They put him to work. He started moving weights, small at first, then bigger. The money was good, fast, and addictive. He tried to reconnect with Mia. She was in her last year of high school, a star student, her eyes set on a scholarship, on a life far away from the one they came from. He'd show up at her foster home in a new car, a stack of cash in his pocket, trying to impress her, to show her he was a man now, a provider. But she saw through it. She saw the same lie her father had lived. "This isn't you, David," she pleaded. This isn't success. It's a trap. Please get out before it's too late. He'd just shake his head. I'm not like him, Mia. I'm smarter. I won't get caught. But it was the same promise every man on that path makes to himself. A whisper against the roaring wind of consequence. He built a small crew. Mostly kids who had aged out of the same group homes he had. They were his new family, bound together by a shared history of abandonment and a desperate hunger for more. They started doing robberies and hitting stash houses, jewelry stores. The stakes got higher, the violence more pronounced. David was a good leader and he was disciplined, strategic, but the life was taking its toll. The paranoia, the constant looking over his shoulder, the ghosts of the men he had to hurt to protect his turf. He started drinking, numbing the part of himself that still remembered the boy who built pillow forts with his sister. The end came, as it always does, from a place he didn't expect. It wasn't a rival crew or a police sting, and it was a simple, stupid mistake, a robbery of an electronics store. One of his crew got greedy, got caught on a security camera, and when the cops picked him up, he folded. He gave them David's name. They came for him at night. The raid was a violent, chaotic echo of the night they took his parents. He didn't run, he didn't fight, he just stood there. A strange sense of inevitability washing over him. He had been running from this moment his whole life, and now it was finally here. He was sentenced to 10 years. As the judge read the verdict, he looked out at the courtroom. Mia was there, her face a mask of grief. She had seen this movie before. She knew how it ended. He had tried to be a king, but he had ended up just another inmate. The cycle had not been broken. It had just claimed another victim. Walking into the state penitentiary, David felt a strange sense of homecoming. This was the place he had been destined for, the final chapter in a story that had been written for him. Before he was even born, the anger was gone now, replaced by a profound, crushing weariness. He was tired of fighting, tired of running. He was just tired. He got a letter from his father a month in. The old man was out now, his health failing. The letter was short, the handwriting shaky. Son, I'm so sorry. I gave you this life, but it doesn't have to be your ending. You're better than me. You're stronger. Find a way to break the chain. For the first time, the words didn't feel like an excuse. They felt like a plea. And something inside David began to shift. He was done being his father's son. He was done being a product of the streets. He had to find a way to just be David. He started in the prison library. He got his GED, then enrolled in college courses, and he started writing, pouring out the stories of the crack era orphans, of the generation of kids who had been raised by the system in the streets. He became a voice for the voiceless. His articles published in prison newsletters and activist journals. Mia was his connection to the outside world. She had become a social worker fighting the same battles from the other side of the walls. They wrote to each other every week. Their letters a bridge between two worlds. Two siblings who had been torn apart by the game and who were now finding their way back to each other. David was released after 7 years. He walked out of those gates a different man. The hardness was still there, but it was tempered by a quiet wisdom. He had a purpose now. He and Mia started a nonprofit, a community center for kids from the system, the ones who were walking the same tightrope he had. They didn't just offer after-school programs, and they offered a family, a real one, a place of safety and support, a place where broken kids could start to piece themselves back together. David became a legend not for the crimes he had committed, but for the lives he had helped to save. He took the legacy of pain he had been given, and he transformed it into a legacy of hope. He couldn't change the beginning of his story, but he had written a new ending, an ending where the orphan finally found his way home. Not by finding the family he had lost, but by building a new one broken child at a time. And in doing so, he had finally truly broken the chain. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.